All right, what's going on, everybody? So in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be diving into some fragrance hacks that will be able to totally change the way that you guys wear and enjoy your fragrances and your perfumes. Okay, whether you're a newbie or whether you're a seasoned collector, these tips are guaranteed to help you change your scent game up. So the types of things we're going to be talking about today are things like application hacks, so how to apply your fragrances, how to make your fragrances last longer, and then lastly, ways you can layer your fragrance. So we're just going to dive right into it. First hack that we have is to apply your fragrances to pulse points. Before you do so, you want to make sure to add moisture to your pulse points first. So when we talk about your pulse points, we're talking about things like your neck, we're talking about things like your wrists and behind the ears. So you can use something as simple as Vaseline here, and you don't need a whole lot of it, but what you do want to do is you want to add a little bit of Vaseline. You want to add it to any place that you anticipate yourself wearing some fragrance. So you just want to add a little bit there. You want to make sure that your skin is well moisturized. The reason why you want to make sure that your skin is well moisturized is because whenever you spray the fragrance on, that moisture body texture will help keep the fragrance locked in rather than it drying up, and when it dries up it dissipates, and then it's also the longevity is affected. The longevity doesn't last as long because it evaporates, and then also the molecules tend to break up a little easier that way. So once you add your whatever you want to use, Vaseline, moisturizer, even skin lotion, main thing is you want to make sure that they're unscented. And then what you want to do is you take your fragrance. So our fragrance of the day is going to be this one here, Rasasi Hawas Ice, and you just want to add it to those pulse points. Okay, you just spray some on, and that moisturized skin will help keep the fragrance locked in for longer periods of time. So a fragrance especially that does not have the best longevity in it, you can add that little hack by adding some moisturizing to your neck, to your pulse points, and then you add your fragrance on and watch how your fragrance is able to last a little bit longer, okay? All right, now, the second fragrance hack kind of goes hand in hand with the first one. Next thing we don't want to do is you don't want to rub your wrists together. Your wrists especially is because that's typically the one thing that most people tend to do the most, right? You're not gonna rub your elbows or anything else together but your wrists. So a lot of people, what they like to do is like to take their fragrance, they'll spray it on, and after they spray it on, the first thing they like to do is like to do this number right here, where they like to rub their skin, they rub their wrists together, because their whole thing is they want to dry the fragrance out. They don't want wet fragrance on their wrist usually. Well, that's actually counterproductive. That's actually the exact opposite thing you want to do. The reason why rubbing your wrists together is honestly bad and it's counterproductive is because once you start rubbing your wrists together, you're breaking down the perfume molecules, which can change the scent, and it can also shorten the longevity, the lasting power. So if you think about it, when you take fragrance and you rub it on, you're creating friction, so your skin is heating up, and then you're also breaking down the perfume molecules. The perfume is already in a certain state already, and then when you spray it on, that scent is now just sticking to your skin. When you rub it together, you're now breaking those perfume molecules up. You're also generating heat, which will dry the fragrance out. Once you dry the fragrance out, the longevity is going to be affected. It's not going to last nearly as long. And then you're going to end up either having to respray the fragrance, or you're having to wonder why my fragrance doesn't last as long. So then you think the fragrance is poor quality when in reality, you're just a slight misuse. So just those two hacks initially, you'll have your scent be able to last longer, and you'll be able to enjoy it for much longer. People will be able to smell it on you for long periods of time, all right? Now, the third hack that we're gonna talk about is for my people who have longer hair. So unfortunately, I don't have the longest of hair and I don't keep it that way. But for those of us who wear dreads, wear straight long hair, have silkier hair, most people, what they like to do is they like to spray perfume directly onto their hair, and then they dry it out by and that ends up that's kind of reductive because it does tend to dry your hair out whenever you take perfume and directly spray it onto your hair. Instead, what you should do, or a hack that has been seen to work, is what you could do is you could take your brush or even your comb, and you can spray your hairbrush with your favorite fragrance, and then you can brush it through for a subtle scent. You'll still get the effect of having your hair or the back of your neck, that intimate area, smell like your fragrance, but you're also not drying your hair follicles out. You're not drying your hair particles out. And on top of that, it's actually kind of a nice, pleasant, subtle smell that you're getting, rather than something where you're trying to rub it through the hair and actually is probably damaging your hair as well, okay? So hack number 3, spray your fragrance onto your brush and then brush your hair gently and subtly for a subtle scent that'll be able to not only, it won't affect your hair negatively, but you'll still get the effects of having the hair smell like your favorite scent, okay? All right, now hack number 4 is layering scents. So for layering, I brought out this number right here. This one is Eccentric Molecules, Molecule 01. Okay, so the concept of layering fragrances is to create a personalized signature scent, right? So there are those of us who only want to wear one scent and one scent alone, right? I only want to wear Versace Hawaii, I only want to wear Versace Hawaii Ice. Well, there are certain people who like to mix certain fragrances because they like to see how those notes go together. I know I'm a person who likes doing that. I like taking some of my fragrances out. What happens if I layer X fragrance with Y fragrance? Does it create Z results? So a lot of people like to take floral fragrance and mix them with a woody fragrance. They like to take a citrusy fragrance and they like to mix it with a musky fragrance. So for our layering combo that we're gonna use today, we're gonna take my Versace Havas Ice, then we're gonna take Eccentric Molecule 01. And so the reason being is that citrus and musk have gone together and have proven to be a complementary fragrance pairing. And I think that's part of it too, is as you get into the whole art of perfumery, as you get into the whole practice of perfumery, as you get into the whole hobby of perfumery, you start to figure out things that complement each other well and not so well. Fragrance notes, fragrance profiles that complement each other well and not so well. So with Versace Havas Ice, you're getting that citrusy fruit notes here. And then with Eccentric Molecule 01, you're getting that musky, isoly super sort of fragrance DNA that you're getting. So when you spray it on, so boom, you got that. Molecule 01 with the musk, mixed with the Versace Havas Ice, you're getting a really nice, musky, citrusy, woodsy fragrance that also, one, has heightened longevity, heightened fragrance profile because the Molecule 01 has Isoly Super. Isoly Super is one of those musky notes that helps smell like fresh skin. It also helps with layering your fragrance. It also helps with longevity of your fragrance, mixed with Havas Ice. Now, Havas Ice already has solid longevity, solid lasting power, solid projection. But then with coupling it with the musky Molecule 01, also with having moisturized skin with the Vaseline, and then with now rubbing, my fragrance DNA, my fragrance profile is able to be heightened and is also able to be smelled for a long period of time, which is also going to optimize your use of it, optimize your compliment pulling factor, because now people are able to smell it on you for a long period of time. You're able to smell it on you for a long period of time, which is the best use for our fragrance of the day. All right. So again, hack number 4, layer scents like a pro. Utilize complementary fragrance combinations like floral and woods, like citrus and musk, and be able to really be able to expand upon the hobby and really be able to maximize the fragrance results. All right. All right. Now, hack number 5, last hack that we have, or second to last actually, is to spray your perfume on clothes, but be careful. And this is probably one of my favorite things I like to do. So not only do I like to spray on my skin, but I also spray perfume and fragrances on my clothes. Reason being is that spraying perfume on your clothes can make the scent last longer, because when it's spraying on your clothes, it sticks and it lasts longer, okay? So obviously, bang, I come right here, off the shoulders, off the chest, bang, and now my fragrance, if it's a nice quality fragrance, it'll last longer on your clothes, okay? Now, the only downside and why people say be careful is because there are some risks that come with spraying fragrances on your clothes. Some perfumes may stain or may discolor certain fabrics, so you really want to be careful and make sure that your fragrance is one that has a certain color to it that won't stain, especially if you're wearing clothes like white, gray, or vice versa. If you're having black, but then it can stain it, maybe it leaves a color marking you don't want, or especially if it's a nice suit, a nice dress, and now you've left a mark on those clothes and it's harder to get out. You don't want that, because now that can cost you a lot of money to get it either fixed, stained, or you might have to do away with that outfit for the night, which is something nobody wants, okay? So again, you want to spread the perfume to keep it on your clothes. This is where you want to spray from a little bit of a distance. They say about 6 to 8 inches. So you don't want it up here. You don't want to spray right against it, because one, that will probably leave a stain, it'll leave a wet mark. So leave it about 6 to 8 inches and let it subtly disperse upon your clothes rather than spraying it close to the skin where it can kind of leave a little bit of a stain bubble, okay? All right, now last fragrance hack of the day is how to store your perfumes properly. Okay, so the places you don't want to store your fragrances are any places that have high heat. So places like sunlight, places like heat, places with high humidity, can break down your perfume, making it lose its scent faster, okay? So for those of us who want to have a nice scent for your car, make sure that your car is also not parked in a place where sun is directly beaming onto the fragrance, because you come back, especially if you can touch your bottle and the bottle is hot, guarantee you probably had your fragrance be broken down in some way, shape, or form, which can affect its scent being as strong as it once was. I know I've had that happen to me before. Used to think, oh man, I need to have a fragrance in my car. So I bought a cheap one. I forgot what it was, but it was one of the ones I just kind of had in my car as a blind buy. So I just threw it in there, have something in the car. And I kept it in there for a couple weeks, and this was summertime. So when I needed it for an outing I was going out to, I sprayed it on, couldn't even smell it anymore. That batch was done. So again, hack is to store your perfumes properly in your house, in your closet, usually perfectly fine. You also don't want to store it in the fridge, right? I mean, you don't want to store it in anywhere that's overly cool. Perfect room temperature is perfectly fine, right? Keep your fragrance as healthy and as long lasting as possible by keeping it in the properly stored area, all right? All right, there we go, guys. So we got 5 fragrances, actually 6 fragrance hacks that we could use. All of these help to keep your fragrance experience as heightened and as long lasting as possible. So again, to recap it, make sure to apply your fragrance to your pulse points, add moisture with Vaseline or any type of gel. Don't rub your wrist together. Please do not rub your wrist together. That is literally one of the biggest things that irk frag heads. All right, if you're gonna use a brush, make sure to spray your brush with your perfume and then lightly run it through your hair rather than spraying your actual hair, because then it can mess up your hair. All right, then you want to make sure to layer fragrances with the proper combinations, okay? Number 5, spray it on your clothes, but spray it from a distance. Be careful also with making sure that you don't stain your clothes. Then hack number 6 is make sure to properly store your fragrances properly, all right? There you go, guys. We got your 6 fragrance hacks. Again, that'll do it for today. I appreciate all you guys for listening and tapping with the channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Make sure to like the video. Comment down below what fragrance videos you want me to do next. Share this with a fellow fraghead, and we'll catch you on the next one. Much love.